Ultimate Collectibles here. Very excited. Not only are we reviewing this beautiful statue today, but this is the first of many online reviews of the Ultimate Collection. So because it is the first review, I want to warn you of a few things. Number one, lighting's not the best. I do have some things on order that will help that. Some of the up-close pictures could have been better. Again, some things coming to help that. There's going to be a few issues where it's not steady. There's going to be a few times where I say or so, or I do this. I swallow in between points. I don't know why I do it. I don't do it in public, but I do it in front of the camera. And now you're going to look for those throughout, so please don't let those distract you. Lastly, it's the camera that puts on 10 pounds and the beer puts on the other 30. But today, let's jump into it. The custom quarter scale Loki on throne statue. This is the custom quarter scale Loki on throne statue. Side note, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my hands, so if I'm making spirit fingers, just ignore that. Whenever we talk about a custom piece on this channel, we are not going to talk about where it came from. However, a little bit of background on the piece. There was an ES of 99, I believe, and it was sold out essentially since inception because it's a pretty dynamic concept and design, which we're going to dive into. Retail cost was about $1,300, and then shipping was $300 to $600 as it comes in two very large boxes. Right now it's flipping for a little over $3,000 plus. It's a very sought after statue. I am actually not in the group that was selling these. I lucked out. I had another custom piece that's highly sought after, and I actually had two of those. So two people kind of helped me make a transaction and a trade for this guy, and I really appreciate it from those two people. I just did the swallow thing. Did you catch that? The two boxes that came in were obviously packed in foam. The first box that arrived had Loki, some of his accessories, some of his switch outs we're going to talk about and we're going to show. And then it had a few of the pieces of the throne statue, such as the heads of some of the Avengers. The second box arrived a few days later, and it contained the throne, and the bottom base part here is extremely heavy, and then the top part was separate and it clicks right in. There was a few issues with the shipping. I had a broken staff, which is one of his switch out parts. Ant-Man's mandibles were broken, so I had to repair that. The boxes, the art boxes, were in pretty rough condition. And I don't know if that was due to the shipping, I don't know if it was due to the quality. Then there's also a few scuffs and some other seam lines and cracks in the statue I'm going to talk about when we get into concept and design that may have been attributed to the shipping, it may not have been. For switch outs, there's two different portraits with two different helmets. The one that you're seeing now where he kind of has the smirk, the grin on his face. And then there is another one where it's more of a serious, angry face, and then there's a lot of detail in the horns. His right hand, the first switch out, is where he's conjuring this dragon with magic. I like that a lot. And then the second one is the staff that I told you about that was broken. His left hand has a hand here where he is drinking from the cup, and then the switch out is a dagger in a very similar hand pose, grasping on that dagger. So let's talk about concept and design, because this is what really makes this statue the grail that it is. First of all, I don't think a concept like this, or at least one this elaborate, has been executed before. So very exciting. Obviously the whole theme of the statue is Loki has defeated the Avengers, he's encased them in stone, and now they sit directly beneath his ass as his throne. First of all, I'm going to take a look at Loki. Everything we talk about, from design to paint to sculpt, we're going to start at Loki, and then we're going to move back to the throne. But for Loki, the design and the concept, here he is. I love the position he's in. It just shows he's victorious. He's the king. He's the king of the god. He has defeated his arch rivals in a humiliating way. Who's to know if they're actually dead or if they're still alive, if they can sense what's going on, what's not. He's just very smug. And the current portrait that's on there, I think that really captures that as well, that he's just very pleased with himself. He's having a victory drink, which is awesome, and he's having fun conjuring the dragon. And I gulped again. And the staff, I think, also goes really well with this. You know, it's a sign of power, a sign of victory. The dagger, not so much to me. That doesn't really play in, despite the dagger being very solid and very well done. It's real metal. It's like a small letter opener, a lot of weight to it. So I love how Loki embodies this. So the throne. The throne is amazing. First of all, starting at the bottom, it's the feet of the Avengers, and then moving on up, you see arms, you see heads, you see torsos just coming out of it, and it contains all the Avengers. It has Quicksilver, the Captain, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and the Hulk. And it's all supported by Thor in the back, holding everything together. And I just love this. It's fantastic. There are a few flaws, I think, with the concept and the design, 3 specifically. One, first of all, is Thor. I think he is not scaled correctly. Obviously, that may be on purpose because he's that kind of the center stone of the back of the statue, but he's about twice the size of what he should be, in my opinion. He's almost twice the size of the other Avengers, and it looks like he's technically bigger than the Hulk. The other issue is this statue is so great from every angle. If you're going to display this in a cabinet like most people do, no one's really going to see the full magnitude of it. So you pretty much have to have it as a centerpiece, otherwise you're missing out on half the statue. Then the last issue, and I talked about this during shipping, is there's either a lot of seams and or cracks in the statue. And this is kind of unclear. Is this because it was designed this way? Did the QC process just fall apart? Did it happen in shipping? Who knows? And it's kind of hard to tell what's supposed to be what, considering that it is a stone throne, so that's not supposed to be perfect anyway. But overall, the concept and design is phenomenal, and I love it. So let's talk about sculpt. So starting on Loki here, first, I think they did a good job. They made him very, very muscular, which I don't see Loki as muscular. I see him more as a wimp, so that's just my personal opinion. I think with the portraits, they did a really good job capturing the Loki of the comics. The sculpt is done very decently on there. I would have liked to see a little bit more detail with his helmet, such as they did in the gloves and the boots, where it's a phenomenal sculpt job. There's a lot of texture on Loki as well, which I'm a fan of texture, but I almost think that it's too much. Sculpt on the throne is kind of hard to determine. As I said, it's a stone throne, so it's unclear how much there's supposed to be. For example, Ant-Man, you can't tell if he's wearing a shirt or an outfit or not. And there's some areas that look like scuffs. I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional or how that worked. So really, when we talk about sculpt in the throne, there's not really a lot you can go on. So paint job, I think the paint job's okay. For factory paint, it's not that bad. I think on Loki, the gold, I like the color they chose. There's kind of golds and browns mixed in there in his helmet and his gloves. I didn't talk about this during the sculpt, but I really have a problem with his underwear he's wearing on the outside of his pants. It's too textury, and his bulge is huge. It's bigger than mine, so I'm a little jealous. But yeah, the paint, the gold paint, the browns, not too bad. Obviously, Loki being always wearing a traditional green outfit, it looks like they used about 2 shades of green in here with the texture. Nothing very elaborate. It's good. It's not bad. I really like the job they did on the portrait, though. A lot of good flesh tones in there. His eyes look alive. I think they did a decent job. And then the boots, I'm a fan of the boots, both the sculpt and the paint. The throne, we have to judge that very similar to the sculpt. There's really 2 colors that you can see in there. One is a grayish brown and the other is a beige, and it's kind of splotched all over the place. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if it was just the QC process. I don't know if that was the design, but there's not really a lot to say about it. It looks like a stone throne. So that is overall my thoughts on the statue. I think it's a great piece. I think it's always going to be a Grail piece. I think that some of the issues I talked about could have been done better to make this one of the best statues of all time. I do not think it's one of the best statues of all time, but I definitely think it's a keeper. I think it's one that will always be highly sought after, and I am very happy to have it. I have a big throne collection, which eventually I will do a room tour, and you'll see how that fits in there. So last thing we will do is we will do measurements. So it's a large statue, obviously. Height is right at 24 inches, a little bit under. And then his depth, which is going to be a problem for displaying, is just about 20 and a half, 21 inches. And width, about 15 inches. This concludes my first ever review. Thank you for bearing with me. If you didn't like it, then stop watching. If you did like it, hit a like, please subscribe, make a comment. I'm not in this for the money, just for my love of statues. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.